Do we really?
We're on candid camera.
You're officially out.
We're officially hybrid, eh?
You can't participate via Zoom.
Oh. Well, that's Scotch. That? How are you? You okay?
Good.
Hello.
Hey, Rachel.
Hey, nice to see
How are
you.
Indianapolis Speedway out there.
Probably
How
that
long have you lived here?
fluorescent car that's been riding down Saginaw.
25 years.
I don't know why anybody would spend that money and mess it up on a color like that.
No, I've been all over the state.
Have you?
We do a lot of things. I
Mount
can't
Pleasant,
figure.
Is that all
Owasso,
job?
Pardon?
All job?
Resale,
Yeah.
resale.
There was a guy downtown.
Mount Pleasant,
unfortunately, he was
Davison,
cool.
Owasso.
Little
Yeah.
cars. Put the exhaust system on
Originally
it.
from Grand Rapids
I mean,
area.
it's bad enough when it's loud, but he put one of the
I
ones.
say
on
originally
that
from
was
Grand Rapids area.
hyper loud, and it was that high pitched. It just went through walls and windows and everything else. Just-
Dave, when are you headed
A
out?
little car?
Tomorrow morning.
I mean, you'd go by and it was like fingernails on a black.
Well, it's still nice.
Yeah, still not gonna be, even me leaving at 11:30, I try to work it out. I don't think I'm able to go to the fort.
Oh, they're doing it.
No, it's just something to do. I mean,
Oh.
I'm getting up there early because it starts early and Gary's like, just go up the day of,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, I can't get up there till Wednesday afternoon.
I'm gonna be twiddling my thumbs tomorrow night, just,
This will be a nice evening.
yeah.
Next 3 days look, ugh. Too bad.
That is autumn in northern Michigan.
Mhm.
Got 2 more
At
minutes.
least you should have what the UP had last week, late last week.
What, snow?
Snow.
It
Oh,
did
yeah.
snow in Marquette
Yep.
Somewhere in the UP.
quite nicely. Look, it seems to be like a normal fall.
Yeah.
September 22nd came around and it was like boom.
Yeah.
Had a couple of nice warm days since then, but trees seem to be turning on time this year instead of in November. Something's up.
Yeah, no, a friend of mine was warden at Marquette for years. I always got the weather report, first snow of the year. I could always count on a phone call, 8:01 in the morning in my office in Lansing saying, okay, it's here.
I was up there last year this time and they barely had any color. They were really surprised.
We were up in Boyne 2 weeks ago and there was
No
almost
color.
nothing.
Yeah, I'm expecting some
Did you
color.
go on Skybridge?
No. So, yeah, in fact, I didn't even realize it was there at that point. I saw it the week after we got back. So it was our college reunion, so.
Yeah, Simon's in pre-K.
But mid-October to not have color in the UP
Patrick's
was,
2. and
they were
running
not-
around and
not happy.
Yeah.
cool.
Oh, yeah.
Craziness in the house.
They were
Yeah,
not.
where the color is
They have
absolutely
day or-
beautiful, believe it or
It's
not,
not,
is that stretch of Michigan
We
Avenue
wanted to
between
do full day 'cause
Kreitz and
he's,
Canal.
like,
Yeah.
he's
It's
custody.
gorgeous.
Yeah.
So like he just turned 5 3 weeks ago. But
The October 10th planning commission meeting comes to order. Start off the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Roll call, please.
Arnold Weinfeld,
Here.
Wendy Bradley. Here. Doug Kozinski,
Here?
Mark Mudry,
Here.
Robert McConnell,
Present.
Rachel Elzinga. Here. Mike Meadow. Jim Schweitzer,
Present.
Marita Proctor is present. We have quorum.
Okay. Next is approval of agenda, please.
Support.
So moved by Mr. McConnell, supported by Mr. Kaczynski, that we approve the agenda. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carried. Next is approval of minutes.
So moved.
Support. Been moved by Ms. Proctor, supported by Mr. Moudray, that we approve the minutes of the September 26th Planning Commission meeting, along with the summary record of public hearing 9-22-06. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. I think we can skip the next one because there's no other citizens to be here to comment. Correspondence, none. Old business, none. Public hearings. Ms. Proctor.
The adoption and transmittal of the 2023-2028 capital improvements program.
David, please.
So in your packets, last week, you got a copy of the capital improvements program for CIP. As I will say throughout the presentation, this is our document where our departments come and we list out all of the things that we want to spend public money on, preferably within, a 6-year period. We kind of split them up into 2 groups. One is projects for funding for next year, so 2023 budget year. Those are the ones we actually vote on. And as you may remember, we've adopted a new voting matrix about 3 or 4 years ago. I think it's been working great compared to the old one. And then other than that, we list just projects that the departments had, want to keep on the back burner or make the board and the planning commission aware of that, this might come anywhere between 2 to 6 years down the line. So does anyone have any questions on how we score each one? Everyone's pretty comfortable with that?
Was that, do the numbers represent a consensus of that number?
Yeah, so let me go to the actual project list. So basically the way it worked, the director would make the presentation on the project. We'd ask any questions. They'd go through their list and then we would vote on each category. The CIP committee would come to a consensus based on, there's some helping questions and guiding questions in the voting matrix. And then, so the rank is just the total points given once, all the weights are assigned. And then the percentage is just, kind of like a grade school percentage, 85 possible points. So you have your rank divided by 85 to get you, kind of a higher score. So if we go back, we can see last year's CIP list. New for this year, I included the 2022 score in the column. I just thought it was kind of a little bit, kept it interesting to see what we voted for the importance of projects last year and to see where, the funding was released. So looking at engineering, really there wasn't many projects that were funded for engineering. A lot of the stuff was kind of pushed, and that's, a lot to do with the economy and COVID and things like that. Same with Parks and Rec. Really the only project was the North Canal Roadland acquisition. And you may remember that's the parcel that's just the north of the community center on Canal and Willow. Arnold, do you have a question?
Yeah, I do. If we're going to talk about COVID impacting the funding of projects, I'd like to know how we used our ARPA money.
That would be probably best directed to Brian Reed.
I will do that. Thank you, David.
So fire department, we always laugh that they kind of get, it's hard to argue against the firemen on life and safety. So a lot of their projects were funded. And same thing for utilities. A lot of money goes in there. We actually don't vote on utilities. We just want to make sure the water flushes and everything goes away. So we make it work for them. Then looking at the projects for the 2023 plan. Let's see. So, let's go by department, project name, the total cost, and then the score that they were given. The descriptions of the project are on the 2 following corresponding pages. Was there any questions regarding this project list?
I have a question regarding are the 3 projects that are in the, I went over into the for the meeting that they have tonight. And I got a letter that Courtney wrote to the board talking about 3 projects for the 2023 budget. The restrooms at Delta Mills Park,
Mhm.
the pathway extension, and the Mount Hope baseball fields.
Mhm.
And we've got 2 of those 3
Mhm.
down towards the bottom of the list, and they've got, in my understanding of it, that they're going ahead with these projects.
Mhm.
Are they intending, because of the grant revenue, that they're gonna go ahead with these projects?
Well, ultimately, the CIP is a recommendation document. It's required by state law.
Right.
The board can, spend the township money on however it sees fit. I was aware that was in the 2023 plan. And all I can say is, it's scored low in our matrix and leave it at that.
Right. All right.
So then further on, we list some of the 2024 to 28, the projects that are going to happen or come before the CIP committee again in a few years. A lot of these are carryovers from last year as well. Just they're usually we get a lot more or a lot larger list on both accounts, but I think that, the department heads really kind of understand the climate of 2023, and they're only asking for what they feel is necessary. So, do you have any other questions?
I have a question, not on the list. I trust the judgment of my colleagues who sat on the committee. The question I have is, either last year or maybe the year before, there was an assessment done of all the facilities in Delta Township.
Mhm.
And it identified needs and attributed costs, I believe. And a number of those dealt with accessibility. And my question is, how does that set of needs reconcile with the listing that appears here?
So each of the projects are brought forth by the department head. There is a function or, a part where we vote or we look at public safety or, who would this benefit, one of which is, people of all abilities. And, that's as far as we take it. I understand that, there's probably a greater need for some improvement in our buildings, but, again, that's a conversation that kind of goes above and beyond this document. So if it's something you want to see in future CIPs, I would recommend, scheduling a meeting with Marcus Kirkpatrick, the planning or the Parks and Rec director, expressing, your interest in seeing some of that stuff, come into the CIP.
Well, yeah, just seems to me there ought to be other documents ought to mean something.
They're checking out, they are going, like for instance, I think it was the engineering department, it had a maintenance list. So like the administrative area handler and electrical just distribute equipment upgrade that scored high last year, but was unfunded, but it was identified in the building assessment, and that's the document. The document that's referring to is the document that you're referring to. It's the large assessment of all the township facilities.
Right. Yeah, I guess, yeah. Because, I always have an issue dealing with accessibility, and I just didn't see anything on here that seemed to address anything relating to accessibility. So it's, you can only deal with what's presented to you. I
Yeah,
understand
that's,
that.
I don't have any control on the projects which come forward to the CIP committee. We just collect what we are offered.
On these lists, there's not a lot of detail. It's more generalities of projects, correct? Yeah. And I think you're looking for details that we just don't see.
I don't consider
No,
that detail.
Yeah, I disagree with you, Mark.
You want
Accessibility is
specific-
not a detail. Accessibility should be part and parcel of any CIP
But we just
project.
don't get that, Arnold,
I understand. It's, but I understand Jim's question would be, Bob's question would be better addressed to other parties. But I don't think, I do agree that, we've made statements at this table about accessibility. So if moving forward, the board should be paying attention to that. I'm not saying it's our responsibility. I'm not saying it's Dave's. It's at a higher, he said it's a higher level than he.
Yeah, is it worth at least having a discussion? I agree that accessibility is a critical issue and it cuts across all projects. It's something we have generally committed to. Is it worth having a discussion about adding accessibility specifically as a scoring criteria in the evaluation of those projects and give it the attention that it deserves? It's not a cost neutral item by any means, but it also can't be adequately absorbed under quality of life or some of the other things. It just sort of operates in the background. It may be worth discussing whether it's worth elevating it to a formal criterion for evaluation.
Doug, to that, I agree. That's a great point. Why don't we put it in health and wellness? Should it be health and wellness and accessibility?
Well, I mean, certainly it could be there. I personally would like to see it as a separate item because I think health and wellness addresses a wealth of other issues.
Okay.
I agree with Doug as far as that goes.
Yeah, I have no problems with tweaking it for next year. I think it's a great suggestion. I was gonna, I have another one that I was thinking about adding, which is, some sort of scoring matrix to identify or promote projects which may have the most benefit to the most amount of people. So like a project that, for instance, is, near a large section of multifamily homes or something like that, where, there's going to be a greater opportunity for people to walk there or to experience there. Because I think there may be a disconnect in some of the projects we're doing where they're kind of not necessarily easy for people of all means to get to, whether that's, walking or, there's not bus lines to a lot of the places in the township where, we're investing our dollars. And, I would like to see something like that to try to put a spotlight on some of the projects which could have the most impact to as many residents as possible.
So I hear different discussions, and it's only tangentially related to what we have in front of us, but I appreciate Doug's recommendation, and I would certainly like to support that recommendation that the accessibility be considered as an element in next year's CIP process.
I think it's a great idea.
Do you need a motion to that? Or can we?
I don't think so. It's just, there's no formal mandate on how we do this. It's just, whatever makes the most sense to us. And
I have one other question. And now unless I'm missing something, but maybe this gets to Mark's point. On the page that's titled 2024-2028 capital program, it says capital program supporting documentation can be found in the index.
Yeah, the index, which is
A penny.
on the appendix, which is on the PDF because it was like 150 pages.
Ah, okay. All
And I
right,
was-
that's fine. Cool. So I'll go back to that.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
I just didn't want to print that much.
No, no, no. That's fair.
The trees of the township,
Yeah,
thank you. Yeah.
it hurts my little environmental heart to print 5 copies out as it is.
It would hurt mine too.
Any other questions? What is the board's pleasure?
I will move adoption and transmittal of the 2023-2028 capital improvements program.
Or
So moved by Mr. Weinfeld, supported by Mr. Kaczynski, that we approve the CIP report. This is a voice vote.
It's roll call.
It's roll call because it's
Roll
public
call.
hearing.
All right.
All right, Mr. Kozinski,
support.
Rachel Elzinger. Support. Mike Maddow. Mark Mudry,
Support.
Jim Switzer,
Support.
Wendy Bradley. Support. Arnold Weinfeld,
Support.
Robert McConnell,
Support.
Marita Proctor supports. We have approval.
All right. Other business, none. Planning director comments.
Arnold and I will be attending the Michigan Association of Planning Annual Conference in Mackinac Island, starting Wednesday, going until Friday. Looking forward to it. It's been a while since I've had an in-person conference, and it's a lot different than a Zoom conference.
Is Gary on or just?
No, it's just me.
Okay.
Other than that, there's not a lot that I can think of. There's the rezoning at Canal and Mount and Canal and Davis Highway, which should be next in 2 weeks, I believe. That's AG2 going to industrial.
How about Delta Crossings? Anything you want to share with us?
I honestly don't know a lot. It's my understanding that K2 did not come through with any ownership stakes in the project anymore. As far as who the owner is, I think that at the very least, the parcel that's south of the church along Broadbent seems to have connections to the owners of Frandor. They're out of Metro, so Frandor and East Lansing, that ownership is out of Metro Detroit. But that was just the only thing I could find, searching corporations and LLCs.
So is our fire department gonna have a building to use for practice, or are we gonna see an at-home store?
Uncertain.
Haven't been away a while. I got a couple. What's the status of the property on the corner of Kreitz and St. Joe, the farm that I see is for sale?
Marquardt's old farm.
Marquardt's old farm. The entire property's for sale.
Yeah, so I mean, that's auto owners.
It's auto owners?
Yeah, they own that whole piece. And, I asked them when they came in to do their South Campus, that first building, what they want to do with that. And they're like, giggled and scoffed at me that, oh, we're going to keep it forever. Lo and behold, COVID came and their priorities are a little bit different. They're also selling something, their northern office buildings on the north, or the office buildings on the north side of St. Joe too. So I think they're just refocusing on,
And how is that piece zoned?
I believe it's zoned RB single family.
Okay, that'd be interesting. What is Consumers Energy doing around the township? Besides digging up sidewalks and streets and
Gas line
gas line what?
upgrade.
Thanks, Mark.
Thank you.
My street is all staked out. I'm waiting for all the wonderful to happen. I'll still have gas and I'll have a tore up yard and street. Did you happen to see Harriet Street, what they did over there?
No, I also just want to say, I've been, well, when an agency does something good, it should be noted. So I want to thank the road commission for their work on Willow between Kreitz and Elmwood. They patched it up.
Yeah, they redid our whole sub.
Yeah.
Oh, your sub was on the list?
Yeah, well, my half was last year, Wendy's half was this year.
Okay. Yeah, I know, but they fixed all those cracks and
Mhm.
now I'm still waiting for them to get to Kreitz between Bluestone and Willow and we'll see. No, Bluestone and Saginaw. And yeah, it's pretty bad on the east side.
Any other questions?
Sorry, Jim, I ruined your record time.
What was the record time?
I don't know, I think it was 19 minutes. I think we had a 19-minute one.
Was that Madhouse?
No, it's
Mike, Jim did it.
Yeah, Jim did it. Jim's had some short meetings.
The laurels don't rest on me. It's the rest of the commission too.
Motion to adjourn.
Or
A move by Mr. McConnell, supported by Mr. Weinfeld, that we adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carried. 6:22.
So close.